How's everybody doing today? Hello, hello. You guys, it's totally snowing here in Utah. Good
Ah!
morning.
My head's getting cut off. Let's see here. Is that better?
Yeah,
You look so cute in your beanie.
thank you. It's snowing winter wonderland here.
Oh my God. It's like probably 60 degrees here, and I was in this scarf. I just barely took it off all morning.
I love it. No, it is cold here and I'm not in a scarf. I just put a beanie on because I just got back from the chiropractor.
Oh, good job. How did it go?
It's never easy, but he puts me on a really cool TENS machine. So
Uh-huh.
it zaps everything. And yeah, we had one. We used to have one. Brian had one for his neck, and I don't know what happened to it. I think we might have let Jamie borrow it in California, but then we both moved. So who knows where it is now. So I just bought one on Amazon. They're not expensive, but I need it so that I can relax when I go to sleep because I'm not sleeping because by the end of the day, I'm like this and I'm like tense. So, but we're
Yeah,
doing
which
the work.
really leads into what we're going to talk about. That my doctor actually recommended one of those TENS units too. I haven't gotten one yet, but they use them a lot where I'm going
Yeah.
as well.
They're really good. I mean, they're like $30, so they're not like crazy expensive. I mean, the one that Brian had was crazy expensive, so I'm a little bit mad that we lost it. But it's like $30 on Amazon. It'll be here today, hopefully. That's what it said. And then I can start using that at night because I progress really nicely after the chiropractor. Like I feel loose, I can do everything. And then by the time I'm done with my day, I'm like, I can't even get to sleep because I'm in pain. So it's a beautiful way to incorporate technology into our life to help our bodies.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like our bodies are not able to keep up with the level of stress that we've adopted into our 2022 society.
I agree. I think stress does have a lot to do with it, not just emotionally or mentally. Physically, stress wears your body down. It creates unneeded weight, unneeded pain. There's so much that stress does for us. And I think after the last couple of years that everybody has had, I think everybody is feeling the effects. But are we listening? We
That's an
are.
important question. We're trying to figure out how to listen. Like, God damn it, it's taken me 39 years. And truly, like, it frustrates me. I was like lamenting to you on the phone recently about like, how in the hell am I not learning this lesson for myself? I'm like, once again, sacrificing my body for the good of others and my body suffering. And so this has been a real season of waking up to that and really acknowledging the fact that our body and our spirits are so very connected and that our bodies are so magnificent. They're like this beautiful, magnificent expression of life itself, of the universe, of consciousness. And our bodies are telling us, giving us signs all the time. But are we listening? And I don't think we can necessarily listen to our bodies until we really get in tune with our bodies, which I didn't realize. I had no idea that I was not in my body most of the time until the last
Yeah.
couple of years when I've really started studying and learning about this stuff. And so it's like we can't even prevent what is happening to our bodies if we're not fully in tune and aware of our bodies. And that's really, requires like a mindfulness practice for me to just be in my body, to feel my heartbeat, to be aware of my breath as often as I can, to relax as often as I can. Because a couple of years ago, my right shoulder, it was like dislocated because of tension. It was crazy.
Mhm.
Like I didn't do anything to dislocate it, but there was so much tension built up in my right shoulder that it was excruciating, absolutely excruciating. I couldn't lay, I couldn't sit, I couldn't meditate, which was so hard because it would just gnaw at me. I couldn't, and I'm still working to get rid of that. But that has taught me so much over the last couple of years because I really, like you said, before you go to bed, like by the time you're all tense, that is exactly what I experience is like, I couldn't even recognize that I was holding tension in my body. But now, like, even watching a show or a movie with AJ, as the movie is unfolding, if there's a stressful part, I am like super tense in my body. And I never knew that I did that. And I'm holding it there. And then after the movie, I'm like, oh my God, I'm sore,
Hmm.
you know? And
Yeah,
so just having that awareness prevents a lot of long-term issues because you're releasing tension as it's coming instead of letting it accumulate and then cause bigger problems.
absolutely. I think that we don't notice. I think me and you start are noticing now, because we've come almost full circle in a different sense of our journey. Like we started out understanding that we were not feeling well, spiritually. We kind of lost that connection from our spiritual and our physical body. And like you said, we sacrifice our own bodies for other people. We do that daily as women. We give our bodies for our children, for our husbands, to maintain a household, to maintain our friendships, to maintain our extended families. Like we always give of ourselves. And giving of yourself spiritually also gives of yourself physically. We're constantly doing something, moving something, to make our lives work. We kind of forgot that on with all of the work that we're doing, we need this body, this physical body. And like we talked about last week, and I apologize that that video disappeared. It's
So weird.
so weird, but there's a reason for everything. um we kind of just talked about how this journey of spirituality for us, although very almost traumatic in the beginning, has come back to a traumatic moment for both of us at the same time, because and we both realize in a conversation in our weekly call that, oh my God, the universe is screaming at us. Our bodies are screaming at us to listen and to treat. And I think, and this is my opinion only, and I don't know if you share this opinion, but I think a lot of times when people start looking for like that spiritual guide, online or wherever in their community, you typically find somebody that seems to have it all together, that's super healthy and like yoga fit and only eats plants and vegetables and doesn't ever do anything horrible, and they seem to have it all together. But that took so much work to get to, right? And we have been on this journey for several years. And for me, I think I forgot that I've always had in my head, well, I'm healthy, so I don't have to worry about it. Like I'm a healthy person. And and I was just thinking about this morning while I was laying on the bed at the chiropractor's office. Um, how long has my body been screaming at me? How long has my body been like, hey, get looked at, and thank the good Lord, source of universe, that I am a healthy person. I don't have any major health problems, but universe was screaming at me to remind me that I still have to take care of this body. And she did that in such a dramatic way because I am hard-headed as fuck. I don't listen. And I was in a car accident, and it's forcing me to look at my physical body and, are you okay? Unfortunately, I'm not 100% okay from that car accident, and I have some trauma to my skeletal system. And I could easily be like, I'm going to Reiki this away. I'm going to pray this away, and I'm going to be okay. We have to remember that there's two sides to this. There's our spiritual side, and I don't think that it's not possible. Of course, I believe that I could heal this with Reiki and prayer and all of the things, and making sure that I'm only thinking positive and not speaking that to myself. But there's this whole other side that the universe has created technology to help us get there, to ease the pain while we're going through the mindfulness of taking care of our bodies. And being in the car accident, I didn't have a choice. I had to go get looked at. I had to go through a day of just horrible, horrible procedure and realize that, I have to take care of this body. And then looking farther back, my body's been screaming at me for so long. And I was so focused on healing myself spiritually and mentally and emotionally that I forgot that there is this huge piece of the pie that's physical. And if we don't take care of our physical bodies, we're just going to float away. We're just going to start disappearing. And if I want to be on this planet, because that's what our role is right now, we're living in this realm with this physical body, experiencing this life physically. If I can't take care of my vessel, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to repeat this again and again and again until I realize that all of these elements of our journey, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, all of those things, it's just all comes together. It's the whole pie, not just the pieces of the pie, the fun stuff, the cool stuff, the woo-woo stuff. Physically, this is an important part of our journey, and we're not going to get to the meditation status that we want to if we can't just sit here, because physically I cannot just sit. I start experiencing so much pain. And that's recent from this car accident, but it made me stop to think and look at and research, like, can we mix technology, spirituality, and where the world is right now in this realm together so that we are whole people? And we can't be whole people if we're not experiencing our bodies physically.
So true. It's our bodies are the only way to experience this life. Like our five senses are how we are experiencing this life is through the body. And when you think about the body, it feels like this one physical object, but it's a colony, it's a universe in itself. It's just trillions of intelligent life forms,
Yeah.
all in synchronicity together, working together to create life. It's all intelligent, and it's always dying and reborn, being reborn all the time.
Yeah.
Our cells are dying and reborn, and I feel like as technology moves forward and science moves forward, we get to understand the physical body and how it's all connected, and how it really, when you look at it with a microscope, we're all just energy. And I've really learned that I am the god of this universe, and that this universe responds to me and my energy. And technology can be such a huge and important part of that. For me, I feel like the universe sends a pebble and then sends a stone, and if I still don't listen, it's a boulder. And so the more I can listen to those subtle signs of my body, if I feel a little tension, to pay attention, to love on that, to thank my body, to work with that at the beginning, and you and I both have years of neglect to get through before we are just in a maintaining moment.
Right.
We're not maintaining. We're just
No.
trying to undo the damage of years of neglect at this point.
Yeah.
And once I get through that, I'm so excited. I'm doing physical therapy, chiropractics, and trigger point injections 3 times a week. And I'm in 2 back braces several hours out of the day. And for me, it was the same kind of situation. It wasn't a car accident, but it was like I had to come to a complete stop. It was just like, what the fuck am I doing? I was doing all of these QHHT sessions. I was doing other kind of spiritual sessions, sacred medicine work, and Reiki, all kinds of stuff. And my back was suffering so much. These sessions are, hours and hours. Some of them are 6 to 8 hours of sitting with the person. And I was driving home in excruciating pain and thinking, I'm doing what I love, but I'm still not doing it in the right way. If you look at nature, what I look at a flower or a tree, and I think that flower, we label it a flower. We label this a body, but what it is earth, wind, fire, water. It's all of the elements of the universe coming together. It's organisms thriving and living in an environment. And so I just think that thinking about the body in that way helps me to care for it. And the labels of even body is can
Right.
be, it's like, no, this is pure magic going on right now. This is consciousness. The body at a certain level is like an illusion in itself. We are perceiving what you look like and what I look like, but
Right.
these are just the results of rods and cones and neurons programmed to see us as we see us.
Yeah,
And
I
so I think that for me, what I've learned is to listen to the subtle signs of my body so that my body does not have to send me more aggressive signs, because truly our bodies are so intelligent and they are communicating with us at all times. And there's so much research about the intelligence of the body, the intelligence of the heart, and I truly believe that all of the sickness and trauma and stress in my body is spiritually connected. Like you were saying, it's all connected. And so to forget this crucial part of the physical form and taking care of it is so important. And I see a lot of clients who are health nuts. They're
hmm
healthy, right?
Right.
And they're literally abusing their bodies in the name
hmm
of health, in the name of the Instagram sexy fitness photo. That's abuse, in my opinion. I think that we have to get really still and quiet with ourselves to really figure out what our bodies need. And that's not the same for everyone. For me and my journey with multiple sclerosis, a plant-based diet has literally saved my life,
Right.
you know? But everybody has different needs, and everybody has to listen to their own bodies. And in order to do that, we just have to get quiet. And so it's this balance of seeking out the external in the technology and whatever, but it's getting quiet enough with ourselves to know what technologies we even need. It's not putting all of our eggs in the technology basket, but getting in touch with ourselves in order to know what is best for us, because we are the only ones that can know that.
Absolutely. Like listening to that inner voice that we have, So I think when I went to my first chiropractic appointment after the car accident, he immediately was like, "Look, you might need neck surgery. You're going to need to do trigger point injections." I immediately, my heart sunk, and I typically would be like, "Okay, let me mull this over." And then I'll talk to my husband. We'll see what I need to do. But immediately I was like, no, I am not, I don't care what the MRI comes back as. I am not doing neck surgery. And that was my inner voice screaming at me like, no, do not put that in your plan. Do not put that in your verbiage, in the universe. Like, no, let everybody know that this is not the route that we want to take. We can do this a different way. I called my sisters, and it was like, for me, for whatever reason, trigger point injections scare the shit out of me. And you would never know why, because I'm covered in tattoos. Like, what am I scared of? The fucking needle? Like, no, it was just that my body was like, you don't need that. They need to look deeper and see exactly what's going on. And we did, after 1,000, hours and minutes of just torture. But for me, I understood that this is more about me stopping, resting, and allowing my body to heal the way that I will sit for the people that I love and for people that I don't love, and perform energy healing and Reiki and using my crystals for other people's healing. It was like, lay the fuck down, Ingrid. Let your body just rest. Like, let your body rest. You've been going your whole life nonstop, always working towards something, always trying to accomplish something, always trying to lift somebody else up. That it felt like a hard slap in the face of like, wait, 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 wait. No, you need to listen to what's going on in your body. And now I keep a journal of how I'm feeling when I wake up. How do I feel when I go to bed? The things that I can and I can't do. And I mean, lucky for me, laundry is one of those, nope, can't do that anymore. That
Love
doesn't work for
that.
me anymore until my body is healed. But it's such a beautiful combination and relationship between our spiritual selves and our physical selves. Although our spiritual selves can exist without our physical body, our bodies cannot exist without our spiritual selves.
For
And
sure.
I don't know if you've ever experienced death, like watching somebody take their last breath.
Mhm.
I have, and a lot of people don't agree with me, but me and my husband both, we were there together. And when we watched a loved one take their last breath, we were just talking about this. The it's instantly the physical body is changed.
Yeah,
It's
I've seen that
they
too.
don't even look like the person that we loved anymore. They did a second ago, but the second that the spirit leaves that physical body, when it's done with this vessel, it transforms instantly into something that you don't really recognize. Like, you know who it is, but it's like that doesn't look like them, and it's because our spirits are gone. And if we can bring those two things together in this lifetime, I feel like the end of this journey in this physical body becomes so much more peaceful, and we do just let go. It's not traumatic and scary because we're cohesive. We're one. Our spiritual bodies and our physical bodies understand their roles, and if we can't bring those together and seek out and use our intuition and know when something's wrong and not ignore it. You know, like, oh, I'm just tired today. That's why my shoulder's bothering me today.
Right.
Or, I've just been doing a lot of housework and that's why my lower back is really killing me. Or my breast, like, oh, maybe my bra's too tight and that's why my breast is just really, really painful today. I think if we can stop, like you said, and just quiet our minds down and realize that our spiritual body will talk to us through our physical body. And if we
Right.
don't listen, that's where we end up in the places that we're in now, where we do have to seek out outside help to heal the physical body. And once we get there, and I think we are going to get there eventually, I think that we are on our path there. As hard as this may be, as painful as it may be, I think as long as we do just quiet, listen, and do all of the things together. It's not just one or the other. It has to be together. It doesn't work. A car doesn't run if it doesn't have gas or electricity. Our bodies are not going to work if we are not listening to the subtleness, the pebbles, like you said. I don't get pebbles. So I get a boulder and then I'm like, I'm tough. And then I get a fucking car. So the universe is like, you need to fucking listen, okay? But I've always felt, and I think this is just programming that I'm working through, that I'm tough. I can handle the pain. Even now, Brian's like, Ingrid, go take some pain meds. No, I'm not taking the pain meds. Why? Because I need to know where the pain's coming from. I need to know that I can handle the pain. And he's like, no, the fuck you don't. Like, take the medicine and go lay down. I won't do it because programming for me says you're not a weak person, and I want to know what the pain is trying to tell me.
Mm.
9 out of 10 times it's like, still, like, make yourself still, sit the fuck down, lay the fuck down, shut the fuck up, just be there. And as hard as it is for a mom like you, we have so many responsibilities throughout the day. To just stop and sit or lay down, for me it has to be laying down, because sitting, you I don't know if you've ever known, like, I'm always fidgeting because I'm always trying to make my body comfortable, and it's worse now, but I've realized that it's those little tiny, punches that I have been ignoring for such a long time, and that now that I actually have an injury, that I've got, that the universe is like, listen, we are we're on the same path of just healing this physical skeletal system so that we can progress the next step in our spiritual journeys.
Yeah, I think what you said about rest is so important. And I feel like our society just does not give rest any value when we are absolutely inseparable from nature, and all of nature rests so much.
Yeah,
You look at my dogs all day, they play, they eat, they shit, and then the majority of the time they rest. They love their, flowers and trees and lions
lion.
and bears and
Yeah,
tigers, and everybody
we're so
rests.
brave.
And when you're in a state of resting, you're in a state of healing. The autonomic nervous system. I've been learning a lot about the nervous system lately. And I can share a specific breath I've learned that turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. So there's the autonomic, and then there's the parasympathetic. And the autonomic is like your fight or flight response, and it's where we're at in stress all the time, and we're not in a state of healing. And so in nature, rest is so important because that's what activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and repair and regenerate system. And we just don't even allow ourselves to go into rest and repair because of this matrix that we've trapped ourselves into, where we're working for the man. We don't even know what the fuck we're doing and why, you know. It's like, what are we doing with our lives?
Even when we lay down to sleep, our minds
can't stop, you know. It's just, and right before we're going to bed, we're scrolling through our phone and our minds are going like crazy. And so even if our bodies are stopped, our minds are going. So many of us have a hard time even not listening to the radio in the car, just being still with ourselves, because you can turn on that healing system anytime, if you're driving, if you're sleeping, if you're walking. And so the vagus nerve, I've been learning a lot about the nervous system, and the vagus nerve, it starts at the base of your brain stem, and it goes through your face, it goes all the way down, it just infiltrates everything. And the vagus nerve determines so much of our health. And so in order to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, I've learned that so your heart rate is faster when you're breathing in, and then when you're breathing out, your heart rate slows down. And so if you feel, I was doing this YouTube video where it has you feel your heart.
Yes.
And if you feel it when you're breathing in, it's going faster. And if you hold it, it continues to go faster. And then if you breathe out, it will slow down. And so vagus nerve breathing, this activates the vagus nerve, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Basically, you breathe in, you hold it, and then you breathe out for longer. So the video I have been using, it's like you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 6 and hold for 4. So it's 4 and 6. And that triggers your brain to be like, oh, I'm safe. Because if I'm breathing slow and I'm breathing slower on the exhale, your body realizes it's in a level of safety, and it can go into rest and repair. So I've been doing that. I've just been, while I'm driving, count to 4, hold for 4, count to 6, hold for 4. Count to 4, hold for 4, count to 6, hold for 4. So the inhale is 4 and the exhale 6. And it has helped me start to heal my nervous system. And what I've learned is that when I am in a state of calm, I'm conserving my energy, because stress drains our energy. I have so much more energy. And my immune system is so much healthier, because my nervous system is not in fight or flight all the time with this vagus nerve breathing. So if that's helpful to anybody, it's really been helpful to me.
I think that's an amazing tip. And I think that if you're watching this, if you're probably going to watch the replay, try this out while you're listening to us, because me just doing that, just listening to you talk about it, and then be like, oh, let me feel my heartbeat.
Yes.
Your whole body relaxes. Like you just feel like, oh, okay, I'm lighter than I was 4 fucking seconds ago. Totally. It's completely true. And there's so many different ways that they use that breathing exercise. So we do count of 4, release of 8.
Oh, that's great.
But holding that breath. So I do like a cold plunge in my freezer, and I think we've talked about it.
Yes, totally.
Using that breathing,
cold.
Using that breathing exercise. So typically if you've ever been in cold water, you go in the water, you're like, you know, your body starts to panic. But if you mentally focus and be like, no, I can do this. And you just do it very slowly, control your breath, your body relaxes into that cold water, and you're like, and you'll feel it like you're just like, no, like I need to, and you're like, no, calm yourself. And like, I talk to myself physically, like I'm like out loud. My neighbors are probably like, that crazy bitch isn't at it again. And I'm like, Ingrid, you can do this. And I use my words like, Ingrid, you can do this, you know, to calm your body. So using that technique while you're driving is an amazing tip. And if you guys are not writing this down, go get a fucking pen, because that tip, I think it can be life changing for so
It
many
is.
people. When I'm being adjusted, I use my breath to calm myself so that I'm not like tensing my body. Even today, this morning, when he was adjusting my neck and he was finding some, like, I have a lot of tightness. So he's trying to release the tightness so that I don't suffer. I'm suffering from like this ongoing headache.
Mm.
And he's pushing. I'm all, and my gut instinct, if you look at the shape of my face, you can tell I have strong jaw bones and muscles because I do this. When I'm in pain, I lock my jaw. Okay.
Wow.
So I'm aware of this now. And so now I cross my fingers, I lay them on my chest, and I just breathe. And I focus all of that like tenseness into my two fingers
Oh,
instead of
wow.
it be all in my body. And he's like, today, he's like, are you crossing your fingers so that I don't hurt you? And I'm like, no, I'm just focusing all of the tension that my body wants to do right now to tense up away from the pain
Yeah.
into my fingers. I'm physically saying, go to my fingers. And I will just cross them, and you see my little fingers start to shake. And I'm using that breath. And I don't think people realize how powerful our breath is for our bodies.
So
In
powerful.
any situation, breathing makes everything better, from pain, pleasure, stress, all of that. Breathing into those things makes everything either ease and relax, intensify in a good way, and release. You know, even ugly thoughts about our bodies or about our life or about our situation, breathing into those and releasing and physically telling yourself, I'm breathing in like goodness and positivity, and I'm releasing all of that stress that I'm holding on to, all of that fear and negativity. It literally saved my mind during the MRIs, which when we talked about it, you have done a bazillion MRIs. I had one MRI when I was 4 years old with a traumatic brain injury, and I never sat to think about that memory and being back in that machine. All I had was my breath. That's all I had. They're like, don't move. I'm terrified to move. What's going to happen if I move? You know, am I going to have to be in here longer? Yes. If you move, we'll have to do this again. And all I had was that breath. So I love that you brought that up. And I think if there is any takeaway from our chat today, is write that tip from Toby down. Start using that in your daily practices multiple times a day and see what it does for your body, physically, for your spiritual body, for your mental health. I think a lot of people could benefit from taking a deep breath and letting it go as slow as humanly possible. I think that's an amazing. I just love that you shared that. I just love you.
I love you too. And really, the breath is the answer to like every part of life. You ask
Yeah.
any Zen master
Yeah.
how to be happy, and it's they'll
Breathe.
just be like, just breathe. And it's true. It is
Yeah.
true. Even weight is released through the breath. Everything is released through the breath. And when you really think about it, you think, what the fuck is even breathing me? You aren't breathing you. You can control how in and out, but there is an intelligence. You are a walking miracle. And when you tap into that magic, healing can't help but just take over, you know? When you
Yeah.
really tap into the magic of where the breath is even coming from and how this is even happening at all. And really that ties into the two halves that you were talking about that really are one whole, is like, you know, you're at the chiropractor, you're using technology, you're doing the TENS unit, I'm doing the trigger point injections and the physical therapy. But while I'm doing that, I'm practicing my spirituality. I'm using the breath. I'm talking to my body while I'm doing the physical therapy. I'm using my techniques that are different than yours, but totally my chiropractor's so weirded out by me. And I'll tell him when one of my guides is there, I'm like, oh, my friend's here. And he's like, so weirded out. He's totally a Mormon.
Yeah. They love us.
Super nice guy, really nice guy. But
Right.
he just doesn't even know what to do with me. Like my doctor's office, I was telling the lady that does the trigger point injections, because this is another aspect of healing and releasing that I have experienced so crazy and so profoundly in the last 10 weeks. And I know I've told you a lot about it, but like every time I go and they release, and my chiropractor pushes on the spots too, just like you were talking about. It's brutal, just absolutely painful. I dated a woman who did the same thing. She's a physical therapy person as well. And she would push on the tension, and it feels like it's bad, but it's actually good. And when they're done, it's like released and it's better, but it's so freaking painful. And what I have realized is, because after I leave, I'm a weeping mess. And you gave me great advice to just tell it, because I was holding in the emotion. I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable. And I'm just like, this is brutal. I'm about to black out and I need to cry. And you just told me, like, that is trauma releasing from your body, and you need to let that out in these appointments. Since you helped me through that, you helped me even realize that my psycho weepy bullshit mood was connected to the work I was doing. I could not figure that out. I was like, Iggy, thank you so much. I called AJ. I'm like, Iggy, help me figure it out, because I was a fucking nightmare and I couldn't figure it out, because I was like, nothing is happening in my life to make me feel rage and depression and grumpiness and sadness and anger toward people I love. And what the fuck is going on? Where are these emotions coming from? And it was all of the tension in my hips and my shoulders releasing. Those things are traumatic going into your body, and sometimes they are painful leaving the body, you know. But when you have that awareness of the spiritual with the physical, I feel like it's amplifying the physical therapy I'm doing by 10 times or more, because I'm working with my mind, with my breathing, in a way that just, I feel like, really integrates the whole thing and amplifies it and makes it the most beneficial. And I just think that the first step in doing that is getting still with our bodies, breathing with our bodies, listening to our bodies, turning off the radio in the car and breathing instead, you know?
Absolutely. And if you really think about it, like, since we both are experiencing the same type of like therapy right now for our physical bodies, you know, I love my crystals. If you think about it, a crystal starts with one little molecule, and then there's a lot of pressure, there's heat, there's all of these elements of like what we could interpret as pain in our bodies, right?
For sure.
And then all of a sudden, this beautiful crystal is formed. And if you really think about it, when they're sticking their fucking finger in that part of your body, and you're just like, "Ugh, I can't handle this," and it's so fucking painful. But then if you're breathing and you really focus in on that area, you will feel it start to release. And then you're like, okay, I can breathe, like, we're good. Okay, it's going away. And they can feel that it's really, they're like, okay, we're almost there, we're almost there. And then you're just like, oh, okay, that was no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's such a beautiful metaphor to think about. Every step in our life, something horrible, painful, fear, everything. Something beautiful is always on the other side. There's always a release. There's always a gift at the end, a gift of peace, a gift of no more pain, a gift of no more tension, a gift of happiness, like whatever. And us holding it in. And I remember our conversation when you were just talking, like, I just don't know. And it just clicked. Like, hello, it's our trauma. We're releasing our trauma, and you need to do that and just make people aware. I'm not having the lower part of my body worked on so much. It's more here. And it has really made me mindful of like where I hold the stress in my body, the day-to-day stress. So this is a day-to-day thing for me. And it's just been a beautiful like life lesson in this journey that sometimes we have to go through really painful, difficult things. I mean, childbirth is the way we come into this world, causing our parent, our mother, so much fucking pain. It's fucking painful.
Brutal.
And
that moment of the most painful, and then the baby's out, and it's the most relief you could possibly feel.
And it's the most love, the most calm. Like, you're just like this horrible, like, I don't think I've ever been through something worse than childbirth. That pain is excruciating to my knowledge. But can I explain it? No. I know it was painful, but I remember that exact moment when the child is born from my body, this beautiful gift and miracle that I helped create. I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's fine. It's worth it. So everything beautiful in our lives comes from some sort of pain.
So
Even
true.
love, even love. Like if you really think about it, like there are moments in true love that you just feel like you're going to die. There, it feels physically painful. And so, but the gift of that is realizing like this beautiful love connection that you have with other people. It's just a really good metaphor to remember when we're on this journey is that it's not supposed to be sunshine and light and all this beautifulness and nothing is ever ugly and nothing is ever painful. It's going to be painful spiritually, it's going to be painful physically. It's just this beautiful sphere of everything. Earth, air, water, fire, all of that together creates us. It creates the things around us. And you bring it up a lot. Like if you look at the animals, if you look at nature, look at how they live their lives. If we go back however many years, millions of years, and look at, you know, what this realm would consider first humans, how did they live their life? They weren't working 12, 16
Nine to
hours a day.
five. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't doing that. They were getting up, foraging for their food, fucking, and resting. That's what they did.
Yeah.
That was their life. I want that fucking life. I don't want to do all this stuff. But I think we have to remember on the other side of that is that we live in a different time. We live in a different, I really do believe we live in a different realm than the first humans. I think that their realm of life was different than ours.
Yeah.
But we can still have that. We can focus on what we're truly meant to do here in this world, in this life, and incorporate so much more rest. I
Yeah.
think we're so worried about the laundry and the bills and the cleaning of the house and all of these things that we're not going to die in the next 10 minutes if the fucking laundry is still on the floor.
I used
It's
to
a
have
hard
so
lesson.
much failure complex around home cleanliness, and my worthiness was wrapped up in if my floor was
Well,
clean.
cleanliness is
Oh,
godliness.
ugh, gag.
I can't even handle it. And it's a lesson I think that all of us eventually will learn. I think if you ever talk to somebody that's on their deathbed and if you really like do a test and say like, hey, do you feel really good that you always had your house clean? That's the farthest thing from their mind.
Right.
Almost everybody that is leaving this world is like, I wish I had more time to spend with my family, accomplish my dreams, go on those trips, go on that vacation, lay in my back, like all of these simple fucking things. Nobody is thinking about like, I can't die right now because I left laundry in the fucking dryer.
Oh,
I'll be right back. You know,
BRB.
like it just doesn't make sense. And it's like a lesson that my wonderful, very, very OCD now husband, who's become very OCD in his older age, it's a lesson that I'm trying to teach him. Like when you come home from work, because he's been home every day this week, which is not the norm. He comes home and starts cleaning. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Go sit down. He's like, no, well, I'm just going to clean. Why? Why? We can do it later. No, I want to do it right now. I'm like, but why? Like, why? If the laundry is there now, it's going to be there tomorrow. We can do it tomorrow when we can fit that into our schedule. But relaxing and spending time with each other is more important. Spending time with our children is more important. Creating those relationships are more important. And if we neglect that part of our lives, we will feel it physically. We will feel it physically. And I think that's a big part of my journey right now is understanding that, you know, Piper, my daughter, her room is a fucking mess. It's been a mess for a month. And clean your room. She doesn't want to do it. Okay, she's not going to fucking do it. I can create a fight. I can create trauma, which I want to. My gut is like, I'm going to grab her by her hair and she's going to clean that fucking room. But at the end of the day, it's like, so what happens if her room's clean? If she were not here tomorrow, I'm going to want that mess in her room. And I'm going to leave that mess in her room. Because what was important? The person. the experience, not all the chaos that we create in our lives. And I think we forget that there's more important things in our lives. And then we start showing up physically. And that's where I really believe that disease, cancers, all of that, this is my soul's opinion. It comes from this chaos that we live in. You know, it really does. I don't think that we would have so much disease if we slowed the fuck down in this realm and started really realizing what matters. And our physical bodies matter just as much as our spiritual bodies. It's a hard lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I feel like on this spiritual path, it's not really these guides, these beings that teach me. They're not teaching me new information. They're asking me to remember. And remember is a big word that they love to use. The human species forgot, and we need to remember, slow
Mm-hmm.
down and be quiet, remember, and like you were saying, the first humans, what were they doing? Well, a big part of their life might have been survival, and that might have motivated technology. So much of, when you look at how the human species has evolved, we were so much slower paced. And I think when we first were humans, we had a bigger bandwidth of what dimensions we could perceive, and we could probably commune with these beings on other dimensions in the spirit world. But we've separated ourselves through technology. And so in order to, it's like you have to, I feel like what we did as a human species was create this life that is now we can survive. We are not worried about our immediate survival. And we also have all the conveniences. But with all of those pros came these cons of like a separation from our Earth Mother herself. Like we completely separated ourselves from the rest of nature. And now it's like using these technologies to better our lives, but going back and remembering, all of the most important things and not getting completely lost in the technologies is now, I feel like, what the human species is being called to do is like, okay, we got to a point where we have everything we need to survive, but we also have so much programming that is hurting us now and making us sick at this point. It's stressing us out, all this structure and rigidity and rules and measures for success that are a total illusion. Is just all bullshit. And so I feel like now on this spiritual path, we have this beautiful opportunity to use technology and to integrate it all, but we have to get really quiet and slow way back down and remember that we are part of nature and that we can't escape that. We have to do what nature does, which is rest. And I know for me in Mormonism and even just in society without religion, I grew up watching my grandmother slave for her family, just work and work and work. And if she ever sat down, I remember begging her to watch Aladdin with me when I was little, and she finally did. And within 2 minutes, she was asleep. And I was so sad. She was just 3 p.m. because she never sat down. And I thought that is what success looks like. I thought that is what God wanted from me, is to be that giving tree of a human being. And I think what both of us have learned throughout our lives is that everyone benefits in our lives when we truly take care of ourselves. And that looks different for everyone. And you just have to get quiet with yourself to figure out, what do I need? And not external, what do I really need right now? Considering all of the other things. And then you can make decisions with technology that makes sense for you specifically. We're not watching TV commercials for pharmaceuticals and then just jumping on it. No, we're really listening to ourselves now, but not shutting all technology out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the trees asked me to go between the worlds. They literally said, you can go between the worlds, you know?
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that meant. And I think it means a lot of things. But for me, I really feel like it's so important to learn how to be quiet and still with ourselves. And I honestly think that people think they can be still and quiet with themselves, and they try, and they are surprised by how difficult it is. And we really, truly, I believe we really cannot know what is best for us unless we are in our body and really with
Yeah,
ourselves, really in tune.
absolutely. I think one of my favorite moments in this lifetime so far, one of my absolute favorite, is being in the middle of nowhere with Brian, where there was no technology, there was no working, there was no cell phone working, like nothing, and just laying in the back of the truck and listening to Earth. And I was just like, listen, Earth is loud. If you listen and you quiet down, it's fucking loud. But it's a beautiful sound. And then you can start really listening to yourself. It's like you're not, when you're inside of your home and you're doing all the things, so many things pop to your mind. I noticed this morning, like I was trying to fall back asleep, but my mind was like, I'm like, and I had to visit like, Inger, what are you doing? Go to sleep. Like shut it off. And I was like, okay. And I was finally just like, stop thinking about it. Listen for outside. So I have this conscious, like, process of saying, look for the sounds outside. So I'm listening for the dropping snow, for the water that's melting, like, or the snow that's melting. And that calms me instantly. I think it's, if you're having a hard time inside of your home, calming your mind and being able to shut up and listen, go outside.
Yeah.
Just go outside. Go outside and close your eyes and do the breathing and listen to the earth. Ask the earth, ask Mother Earth to talk to you. You know, I do it all the time. Even inside of my home, I always have my window open and I'll just say, what do I need to hear from you today? 9 out of 10 times, I'm hearing a beautiful bird chirp, or I'm listening to water drip, you know, or I hear a cricket. Like, it's just so many beautiful sounds out there that our mind is so shut off from recognizing. We only hear the beep of the dryer, the beep of the microwave, the TV clicking on and off, our phones beeping. It's just such an incredible practice to really shut down and listen for your own heartbeat. Like, that is a great way to shut your mind off.
Yeah.
Get yourself into a quiet space, put some noise canceling headphones on, and lay down and listen for your own heartbeat. That will lull you into a beautiful relaxation. You don't need anything else. That's all free. I mean, the noise canceling headphones are not free and you don't necessarily need those, but listening to just your heartbeat, focusing in on that dun-dun, will calm you so beautifully. And it's such a relaxing experience. I think people forget that we have this beautiful power as a human, you know, in this body, and all the cells and everything moving around it, and listening to your heart pump that blood through your body that we need, listening to your own breath come in and out. And like we were talking about before with breath, and I think that's a great way to like kind of end our little conversation, is if you really think that we're in control of our body, hold your breath.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold your breath. Your body will not let you not breathe.
Amazing.
And your mind is not in control of that. Your mind is not in control. Hold your breath and see if you can control it. Because if we can control our bodies, everybody would be able to swim underwater for fucking forever. Nobody would have to come up for air. Nobody would have that moment that is, you cannot control that. Your body will force you to breathe. So if our bodies are forcing us to breathe, how is that not the healer of all things? You know? I don't know.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love it. This is such an important topic. I think that I could talk for days about it. And I really do want to talk specifically sometime about everything I've learned about multiple sclerosis in particular. I saw some celebrity, is it Christina Applegate or something?
Yes, she just came out.
Yeah, and I just immediately was like, how can I get in touch with her? How can I get in touch with her? Like, I
Right.
want to message her because I have answers. I know I can help. Like, I want want to help people who have MS. If you have MS, reach out to me, because there
Well,
are so
let's
many
schedule
things
that for next
that
week.
I've
I think
learned.
that's a beautiful segue into with this topic where you can physically talk about your
Yeah.
experience with MS, how you push through that, how you, in your words, cure yourself of the symptoms and of that dis-ease.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law has MS, and I think it would benefit her so much. I think there's so many people that are being diagnosed continuously every day that I think it would help. I think that's a perfect topic for next week.
Awesome. Yay. Let's talk about it. I would love that. I just really think that it's just something that I have really dealt with specifically, very intimately. And
Hmm.
so I know it's kind of a specific topic, but honestly, it's just a conversation about health and about wellness. And one person's MS is another person's diabetes. It's really the very similar answers for all of it, but there are some things that are specific to MS that I feel like could really help some people. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic, and I think that it's going to help so many people. So let's definitely do that.
Awesome.
And
I'm
I'm going to
going
do some
to be
research.
journeying with psilocybin on this weekend sometime. We're going to be going away. So I'll let you know how that goes as well. I'm really excited. It has been
I'm
a little
excited.
while since I've done it. I'm
I
going to
know
go see my friends.
I'm itching for a nice little getaway with Brian, and we'll
It's
talk
in the
about that
works.
another day.
I know. So excited. Yay. Okay. Love
Yay.
you.
I love you.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys.
Have a great day.
You too.